Well, hey, it's time for Ask the Tech Guys. I'm Leo Laporte. Coming up, it's a visit from the GizWiz. He's going to explain to me why I shouldn't be using sponges and show me a great brush.
And I am Mikah, Sargent, and we talked to a listener who wants to know about whether a budget NAS is a good idea.
And then, should you use a VPN if you're visiting China? All that's next on Ask the Tech Guys.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Ask the Tech Guys with Mikah Sargent and Leo Laporte, episode 2035, recorded July 28th, 2024, from attic to basement. Well, hey, how are you? It's good to see you. Leo Laporte here.
Mikah Sargent here.
It's time to ask
the Tech Guys.
That's us. Tech Guy 1, Tech Guy 2, here to answer your questions at 888-724-2884.
That is the phone number that you can call while we are live on air, and in doing so, you will become a part of the Zoom room. If you are brought up on air, you'll need to hit *6 on your headset to unmute yourself, and that will allow you to communicate with us. But that's just one of many ways you can actually get in touch with us. You can also email us, atg@twit.tv, to get in touch. You can send text, you can send audio, you can send video, or while we're live on air, you can also head to what is the URL? Usually I see it on the screen. And
well, techguylabs.com works.
Yes.
Oh, you mean call.twit.tv?
Call.twit.tv.
Yeah.
I just am so used to
that's the Zoom. Call.twit.tv.
Yeah.
Coming up, Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer, with some gizmos and gadgets for us. And it's time for a photo review with Chris Marquardt. I did not submit any photos. I feel guilty. I feel guilty if I submit photos.
Right. You don't want to outshine the competition.
Well, it's not that I'll outshine the competition. It's that Chris might feel obligated to mention me, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to... employees of twit.tv and their family and friends.
There you go.
That's all there is to it. We do the show every Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. East Coast time. That's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time, 1800 UTC. The reason I mention that is you can watch us live now on every possible venue. We started with YouTube. youtube.com/twit/live. We're on twitch.tv now, twitch.tv/twit. We are on x.com. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Facebook, and we are on Kick. And we are on Discord if you're in the club. 7 streams. And just pick the one that speaks to you, I guess. Plus, we have chat in all of those, or many of those. Not all of them have chat, but we have chat in those that do. And we see that chat in front of us in a special merged chat that only the tech guys have access to. We were, we talked about putting it in the Discord, then people got upset, and I don't know what the deal is. So, but at some point, I think the merged chat should be visible to all.
Maybe like a channel, yeah. Something.
A channel.
We'll figure it out.
So, what's the news across the nation?
The news across the nation.
I guess I keep forgetting to bring my laptop in, so I have to now look at it on my little teensy-weensy phone.
There was a story from Krebs on security.
I saw that. What do you think?
Yeah, so basically there are some processes in place that help to make sure that there isn't tomfoolery going on in Google Workspace when you create a Google Workspace account. And so what you would do is you would create a Google Workspace account, say, for us here at Twit, and someone could come along and create an account and impersonate that domain holder.
Who would do that? Crooks, according to Krebs. Krebs calls them crooks.
Yeah, interesting use there, crooks.
I think he doesn't want to use hackers anymore, which I kind of honor that, because a hacker is somebody who messes with computers, not necessarily evilly. Crooks is a good word.
Yeah.
Bad people.
And so they're bypassing basically the protection, which is that you have to log in first in order to do that. So the email verification process that's required to create that Google Workspace account is what the crooks bypassed. Here's the quote. In the last few weeks, we identified a small-scale abuse campaign whereby bad actors, there it is, circumvented the email verification step in our account creation flow.
The problem is if you call them bad actors, people think of Nicolas Cage. So it's not a good term either. Crooks is good.
These users could then be used to gain access to third-party applications using sign-in with Google. So if you can imagine, then any site that has sign-in with Google, me, crook at twit.tv, is able to gain access to that and appear as though I am an employee of Twit.
Which you are.
Oh, that's right.
Never mind.
So that doesn't quite work, does it?
There is a little bit of there was a story, it's kind of an interesting story, and I don't know what to think about it, about the AI security being used in Olympics. You watched the Olympics? Did you watch the opening?
No, I'll be honest, I didn't.
Oh, you got to watch them. They were crazy. Crazy. Bloomberg Law. Olympics AI security stokes backlash over mass surveillance. But if you're going to use AI security anywhere, that seems like a good place where you have millions of people all over the city. Mm-hmm. You don't know, what's going on, where it's it's the most, according to Bloomberg, public and controversial rollouts ever of algorithmic video surveillance.
It's a public place, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's illegal. Video cameras around the city watch millions of visitors to detect weapons or people moving against the crowds. That's always a sign, right? Somebody's going the wrong way. Among other things, it could be seen as precursors to an attack. Security personnel will then decide whether to notify authorities, including local and national police. The French lawmakers call the tool a security measure, aimed at shielding the multi-week event from violence. Privacy advocates have sounded alarms.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like privacy advocates want a perfect world.
Yeah.
And in a perfect world, you're right. You could go about your business and no one would know. But when you're in public, especially of such a vulnerable event as the Olympics, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. Of course, what they're going to say is, well, but the problem with AI surveillance is false positives, that it might identify somebody who's just walking home, which is against the direction of the crowd. But then this is the thing, they hand that over to
That's
humans.
when the humans get involved.
And the humans decide that. As long as, I think as always with AI, the problem is always the humans. As long as the humans know that the AI is just, an AI and isn't, don't arrest that guy immediately because the AI said so.
Right.
Use your human judgment, then I don't think you have so much of a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's going to be in the news, I imagine. Of all places you could use this, the two I would say you have to are Taylor Swift concert and the Olympics.
Yeah. Stadiums. I think it makes sense as just an extra filtering tool. And then, as you've said, you have to build on top of that. We have seen issues where humans aren't receiving enough training and thereby aren't given enough understanding of what AI is actually doing in these situations, which is where that overreach can sometimes happen. An example of this that's on a far less dire scale is that a number of freelance writers were fired because they were writing their pieces and submitting them to these big kind of freelance companies that hire writers for different things. And they were scanned at the company to see if they were written by AI. And the tool was saying 87% human, 23% AI. And what the people who were doing the scanning thought that meant is that 87% of the piece was written by humans and 23% of the piece was written by AI, when in fact what it was saying is that it's 87% confident that it was written by a human with 23% confidence that it was written by AI. And that small misunderstanding led to a lot of people, several people being fired without any consideration or sort of follow-up with those people because it was a misunderstanding of the tool. So I do think that it is important that if these tools are being used, that they're being properly trained on what the AI is indicating when it's indicating something. And, we don't have that behind the scenes look at exactly how this is being used, unfortunately.
Rusty Bone says, I wish I could go through one day without hearing that name, Taylor Swift. Okay, just calm down. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
It's going to be okay.
I don't. Did Taylor Swift hurt you?
I think so. I think he's he maybe was an old boyfriend. I don't know.
There was another one. That's probably what it is.
Yeah,
the last album was written about Rusty Bones. That song, Iron Oxide, all about Rusty Bones. So the other way
Rusty
that
Bones never sleeps.
that the Olympics are using AI is actually, I talked with Emily Dry Belbus on Tech News Weekly about this. She wrote it up for PC Mag. Google partnered with, is it NBC that does? Mm-hmm. Yeah, partnered with NBC.
The Peacock.
To do Gemini. It's almost like built-in integrated advertising, because some of the commentators will be occasionally going to Gemini to ask questions about different things that are going on.
That's risky.
Isn't it?
Because you could end up with egg on your face.
You could absolutely end up with egg on your face. So this could be competitor life history.
He used to be a president of the Czech Republic.
Right.
Before he became an Olympian.
It could also be, what does lane assignment, how does that impact a swim race or something like that?
And it's just nonsense. Don't use AI for that.
But they will be. So you should look for Gemini to get mentions at...
As always, the issue is humans, not the AI.
I agree.
It's what we do with AI, the value we ascribe to the information we get from AI. And this actually was something early AI researchers, people like Timnit Gebru, were worried about was, it's coming out of a computer, so people are going to give it more authority than they should.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be wrong, it's the computer. But I think by now we've learned the computer, even without AI, makes plenty of mistakes. It's not a miss. All right, that's the news across the nation. There's much more, and if you like tech news, we have the shows for you. Of course, This Week at Tech coming up later today. Mikah's Tech News Weekly every Thursday, and really all of our shows cover tech news. MacBreak Weekly, Windows Weekly, This Week in Google, as Security Now. It's all about tech news, but the kind of the all over tech news show coming up later this afternoon. The phone number again, 888-724-2884. Rush to the phones right now. Jump to the phones right now.
We're about 30 minutes out from our first of two guests,
yes.
Dickie DeBartolo.
Let me do a little break right now. What do you think, John? Or should we do a call first? We have many things to do today, and I don't know where to
wouldn't
start.
mind a break, I'll be honest.
Well, you know what? That's because you are focused on your mental health, and you understand that it's important. People, they know that they've got to, exercise and eat right and stuff. But I think we treat mental health as like some special thing, or even a weakness. If you say, you know what, I need a nap, or I need a break, or I want to just take a little time out for myself. That's healthy. That's right. That's something you should do. And as we know, more than ever in these modern times, we need a little help from time to time. I'm talking BetterHelp, our sponsor for this segment of Ask the Tech Guys. No shame in asking for help. I think it's a very good thing to do. What do you do when you get caught up wishing, this seems very common with younger people these days, your life looked like someone else's? It wasn't until I got older that I realized I don't want my life to look like someone else's. But what I tell my kids, and I would tell you too, is never judge your insides, because you know what's going on inside you, with someone else's outsides. What you're seeing on Instagram is their outsides, and often carefully cultivated. You don't know what's going on inside. So don't get caught up wishing you're like somebody else. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together on their Insta, but in reality, they probably don't. They may be in worse shape than you are. Here's the deal. It's really helpful to talk to somebody who's smart about this, who has emotional intelligence, and get their take on it. Therapy. They call it therapy, but really it's a trusted partner that can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have so that you can start living your best life. When I go to my therapist, I feel like it's a chance to get a coaching session where he's going to tell me, you know, I'm going to say, does this make sense? I'm thinking this, and he's going to tell me, no, that's not, or yes, it is. It's really valuable. It's a mirror, but it's a smart mirror. It's not AI. And that's why I love BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes this possible for many people who haven't in the past used therapy for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's too expensive, too inconvenient, or too embarrassing. It doesn't have to be. BetterHelp online, so it's very convenient. You schedule as you want. It's entirely designed to be convenient and flexible. The price is right, suited to your schedule. Here's what happens. You're going to go to BetterHelp, HELP.com/ATG, and fill out a little questionnaire. That's just to help you get matched with a licensed, this is important, a licensed therapist. Anybody can say they're a therapist, but you want to go to, trust me, you want to go to a licensed therapist. And this is really important. You're shopping. Don't feel like you'll hurt their feelings if you say, you know, this isn't a good match. And there is never a charge to switch therapists at BetterHelp. It's a really good idea, and something I always tell people is they're not going to get their feelings hurt. You're shopping for somebody who matches your point of view, who you're going to be able to listen to, who's going to give you the advice, the support, the counseling you need. Stop comparing. Start focusing. BetterHelp.com/ATG. Go there today. You'll get 10% off your first month. It makes me so sad that people, especially young people, think, oh, I could never do that. You should. You must. It's really great. And it's easy and affordable and convenient now, thanks to BetterHelp. 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 Help.com/ATG. I couldn't recommend it more highly. It's really, really valuable. I think, every member of my family has a therapist. Everybody I know has a therapist. It's a very it's a life coach. You need it. BetterHelp.com/ATG. Dick DeBartolo should have a therapist, but he's just crazy on his own. So we'll talk to him in about 20 minutes. But let's get some calls or questions in. We have email, we have voicemail, and we have calls. What do you want to do first, John? You like
There's a call. Brett, let's try him. He's got his hand raised.
You got your hand up. Let's put you in the Stargate and talk to our first call of the day. Eric says, nobody I know has a therapist. Eric, I'm so sorry.
Sorry to hear that.
But I think it's cultural. I really do. I think we want to fix that. We want to fix that. Hello, press *6. No. Brett, are you there, Brett?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, welcome. Where are you calling from?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Love it, where the West begins.
Yes, that's right.
Have you ever been to Del Frisco's?
Yes, I have.
How about Billy Bob's, Texas?
Yes, I have.
That's my entire knowledge of Fort Worth in a nutshell.
That's a good combination.
It's great. Two of my favorite places in the world to go. They actually have they have a rodeo inside the bar at Billy Bob's.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's right.
What can we do for you, Brett?
So, Leo, I'm traveling to China in the fall.
How exciting!
As a vacation.
Yeah,
mainly for photography and immerse in the culture. Just real. I've always wanted to go several of the places there, but anyway, so I needed a new laptop and I needed something lightweight, so I bought myself one of the Yoga Slim 7Xs.
Oh, you got the new one.
Elite.
Did you get?
Yeah, I got it loaded with the 32 gigabytes and a terabyte hard drive, so it's great.
That is the new Copilot Plus PC. But Paul really loves it. He just did a review of it. It's the one I kind of drool over. Except
I've now started loading my software on it. And, Paul had reviewed it and he said he noticed that Google Drive didn't work. And I thought, I use Google Drive, but I can work around that. But I get to the point of my VPN. I use ExpressVPN and it won't load. because of the ARM64 architecture. I contacted them, and the guy I chatted with, he couldn't say whether if or when they're going to do an update, and if they do, when it would be. So that's really got me concerned, because that's one of the pieces of software I really need. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm looking for options. I mean, first of all, if you guys know any insight about if they're planning an update to ARM for the
absolutely.
ARM64.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is, as Paul probably pointed out, a lot of drivers, low-level stuff, the anti-cheat mechanisms in some games don't work yet, because you're making a big shift. You're making a shift from Intel to ARM. And while Microsoft did a really good job with creating a compatibility tool, and it works fine with higher level programs, it doesn't work so well with drivers. Drivers have to be rewritten because they talk directly to the hardware. And so that's a VPN is a very good example. There may be VPNs that do now work with ARM, but all of them had to be updated. So it's a race between all the VPNs to see which one's going to work best or first with ARM. I know ExpressVPN, who's a sponsor of ours, I know that they are working on an ARM version. I don't know when it'll be available. So that's, and you want to use it in China. You may actually, I would be nervous about using it in China anyway. I should mention that.
Well, one of the contacts I have there said that I do need a VPN because I can't get on Facebook or Instagram or any of the social.
So here's my attitude on that. Don't.
Yeah.
They block those, American social sites. That's why you need a VPN to do it. I think my attitude towards this, and by the way, when I was in China in 2009, they were already blocking all these things. And I chose not to go around it because I felt like that was hostile to, for the two reasons you might not want to be. You want to be a good guest, but also you don't want to attract attention to the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese police. I would just defer any use of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any blocked social networks till you are outside of China. How long are you going to be there?
3 weeks.
Yeah, you can live without Facebook for 3 weeks, can't you?
Well, it's not that I need to. Part of my photography is to post the pictures. And stuff like
I understand that. So I used a workaround at the time called Posterous, which is gone, but I was able to email pictures to Facebook, and they would get posted. They had or actually it was to my blog. That's one thing you might do, is have a personal blog which won't be blocked, and post there. You want to post every day onto Facebook. I understand your desire to do that. I think it's both rude and risky is my attitude. Not that I think the Chinese Communist Party is good and fine and well and anything like that, but do you want to go into a nation and be a dissident? I wouldn't. I would wait till you leave, and then you could speak freely. But they block VPNs. They got they got Apple to remove all the VPNs from the App Store there. They don't like VPNs because they don't want their people using end-arounds. Now, I was told, and I think it's probably still true, that as a tourist, they're not going to, it's not going to cause problems because they understand you want to, and they're really more concerned about their own people. But at the same time, I feel like you're drawing attention unnecessarily. I would say either create a blog that you can post to that's not blocked. Obviously, don't use Blogspot. Google doesn't participate in China. And then, I mean, yeah. When are you going?
Good.
In October.
Yeah. See, I don't know if ExpressVPN will have an update by then.
Somebody in the chat had kind of a good idea. You could simulate the trip that you've taken when you get back. You just post daily for 3 weeks. If that's part of the sort of shtick of what you do, you're back and you slowly release those photos. If that's part of kind of your art, the way that you do it.
You know, I use a program called Polar Steps. Let me log into my Polar Steps because it's a really and I don't know if it's blocked in China, but I would guess not. It's a traveler's diary that automatically logs your locations. In fact, let me see if we have posts from China. Yeah, we sure do. That automatically logs your, even from North Korea, maybe it looks like, logs your trip, and then you post photos from it. So this is for our last trip to the Mediterranean. It does a log of each day. It puts a map on the screen. People can log in, go in and see it, and you can see, and you can write little text that goes along with it. It's quite a nice platform, and I don't know. I would have to investigate. But is it legal to use this in China? I would bet it is, and I certainly see some Polar Steps out of China. I think I do. Let's see. Well, now I'm looking at my own stuff. Let's just look at the general activity cloud and see, because this is I don't know, people. I want everybody. Oh well. This also has some guides to different places, which is really fun. Let me see what it's got in China. Nothing in the great northwest of Canada. No guides here yet, huh? So maybe where am I? Oh, there we are. Oh yeah, they've got some guides. Let's see if they've got Beijing. Maybe not. So I don't know. It might not be blocked. But I don't know. I love this app for a photo diary. You can share it. It's like a social network. So you share it with your friends. You share it with other people. It will also do this completely automatically. So you don't have to do anything to share the pictures or share your trip. You could just do it automatically. This is called Polar Steps. And it's a really fun little app that maybe just as a short stop until you get home. Let's see. It looks like there are people. Maybe not. Maybe it is blocked in China. You know, maybe it is blocked in China. I can't tell. Oh, that's China. Oh, maybe these are my steps. Oh, that's what it is. This is when I was in China. I didn't post any pictures. The GPS will for sure work. The pictures, I think it will work. They'll upload. I just feel like I wouldn't try too hard to bypass their restrictions. Are you going with a tour group or are you going on your own?
I'm going solo. Just
I'd hate to
digging in and seeing.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have look at the people are amazing. The culture is amazing. The history is the longest history at anywhere else in the world.
Exactly.
It's an amazing, amazing place. What cities are you going to?
Flying into Beijing, then going to Xi'an, and then down to Zhangjiajie, Guilin, and then out through Singapore.
Wonderful. You're going to love the food, by the way. Guilin has incredible dumplings. Of course, you're going to see the terracotta warriors in Xi'an. It's a trip of a lifetime. I would not try to get around the restrictions of the local authorities at that point. I would wait till you get home. Try something like Polar Steps. There are a number of really good travel diary apps that you can use. Put the pictures there. The nice thing is now they're all in order. You're writing your notes, and when you get home, you've got all that information. You can 3 weeks later, you can post it on Instagram and Facebook. How about that?
Okay, fair enough.
I will call ExpressVPN on Monday and ask them what their plans are. Everybody knows, Fortnite doesn't work on ARM either. Everybody knows, and that's because of the anti-cheats. Everybody knows that there are these small issues, but they'll all get fixed, I believe. That's just minor. This is the future of Windows. In fact, I just ordered, I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping it would come this week, but it's not going to come till August now. The developer version of that from Qualcomm, the Snapdragon X Elite. Very, very similar to what you have on your Lenovo, but it's a NUC. And I can't wait to play with that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Someone did suggest quickly, if you have tethering on if you have hotspot on your phone, you could turn on the VPN on your phone and tether your Lenovo Yoga Elite to it. If you decide to go the breaking the law route.
I just wouldn't. You remember, you're a guest in their country, and this is their policy. And
no, you're right, Leo. The guy that I spoke with was, he's a citizen there, and he the way he talked about it was, well, for me it would be, for him it would be no, but you're a tourist, and all the tourists have that on their devices. So
yeah, that may be the case. I don't have recent experience, so I don't know.
But fair enough. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. I certainly wouldn't want to take a chance.
No, yeah,
you don't want to get stuck there.
That's
that's true.
Right. You want to come back with those pictures.
That's right.
I didn't. Now remember, this was 2009, so this is 15 years ago. But I experienced nothing but friendliness and positive. We got in line in Beijing to see Chairman Mao's tomb. It was a long line. It was the only thing that took a little cultural getting used to was that the Chinese don't really believe in queuing, and so we're standing in the line and people are pushing by us.
Oh, wow.
And because they just don't, it's not culture.
Yeah, it's different culture.
Different culture. Brits queue. Chinese do not. So just be aware of it and keep moving. You'll get in there. It was really funny.
You gave me a good idea. I've got a SmugMug site.
Put it on SmugMug. Perfect.
Yeah, and then I can just send a link out and have my wife post it on Facebook.
All my pictures of China are on SmugMug still, and they're public. So leo.camera if you want to go see those. Yeah. If you have SmugMug, you're a serious photographer. What's your gear? What are you going to bring?
I've got a Nikon Z8.
Nice.
Yeah, and several lenses.
We've talked before, I think. Yes?
Well, I went on the cruise.
I know you. You took all those great. I still have your bear salmon picture in my office.
Yeah.
I know who you are. You're a great photographer.
Yeah,
You're more than. This is no amateur. This is a really talented photographer.
Thank you.
And you had the Z8 then. There were beautiful shots.
I actually had a Z9. And,
okay.
The Z8 is everything that Z9 is, but smaller.
Small.
Yeah. And so I for the type of travel photography I do, it's
smart.
nice to get a smaller camera.
Yeah, a little small. You're not going to bring those long lenses you had in Alaska, I hope.
No.
That would also mark you as somebody that maybe should get extra attention.
Yeah,
you want to be discreet a little bit, I think.
If it doesn't fit in my backpack, which all that
smart.
probably wouldn't.
We went to went to the Forbidden Palace and all that stuff, and took pictures everywhere. There were as many Chinese tourists because they come from all over the country to Beijing and Xi'an to see these things. Everybody's very friendly. You're going to have the best food you've ever had in your life. My son I took my son, he still says, I'll never forget that. It's the best food ever. It's just going to be so much fun for you. Have a great trip. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, our pleasure. Yes, I should get his bear picture. It's a beautiful picture of a bear and salmon in Alaska that he took on our Twit cruise. I thought he sounded familiar. Dick DeBartolo is coming up in just a little bit. Let's do one email. Wait a minute. They put them in the back of the mailbox. I gotta.
Woo! Opa!
Yeah!
Wow, that's impressive. Woo! Getting a little feisty.
Don't mess with the mailbox. Okay, here we go. Hey, Baba Louie, Saturday? Synology NAS for backing up iPhone photos. Sasha wants to know. She's in Orange. Love the show, Leah and Mikah. Been listening to Leo since his first day on KFI. That was back in 2004. Oh, it's a he. My wife and I have an Apple. Oh, actually, I don't know if it's a he. Sasha could be either, right?
Yeah, they.
My wife and I have an Apple One subscription with 2 terabytes of storage. Mm-hmm. Me too. You too. Everybody. Yeah. Most of our recent photos are there. A couple of years ago, I backed up my wife's old white MacBook photos to Google Photos. Google Photos has also been backing up her iPhone photos. I like that, belt and suspenders. I still need to get the MacBook photos into the cloud, the iCloud. I think I could figure that out. Here's my dilemma. I don't see a reason for paying yearly for both iCloud and Google One storage to back up our photos. As our photo library gets bigger, it's going to get costlier. So I was thinking, keep the Apple subscription and get a Synology NAS. Not going to save you a lot of money.
No.
Up front, the NAS is going to cost you $1,000 or more because you got to get the box and all the hard drives. But it's local. That's what I do. It's a local backup. It's nice. What's the benefit of 2 bay versus 4 bay, 2 gigs of RAM versus 4 gigs? What do you recommend for just backing up photos? So I think you want more drives, not fewer drives. If you have 2 bay, you don't have as many choices of RAID as you do if you have 4 bay or 5 bay. I have a 5 bay Synology. The advantage of that is a drive can die. 2 drives can die with 5 bays if you set it this way. And then you can still put a new drive and it'll rebuild the RAID and you haven't lost anything. So for like really serious backup, that's nice. RAM is less important. You can add it depends on which one you get, but you can add RAM on some of them and you can add storage, cache storage, fast SSD cache storage on some of them. The difference in levels of Synology is the amount of RAM, the amount of storage, but also more importantly, the processor. If you're just storing photos, don't worry about it. The problem is, as you use your Synology, you might start to say, oh, you know what I'd really like to do? I'd like to put all my movies on there and watch them everywhere in the house using Plex. And suddenly you wish you had a better processor.
Absolutely.
Or, and I just did this. You might want to install Home Assistant on it, right? And have it run the whole house and turn things on and off. Oh, now you need a better processor. So you're right. For photos, it's not very demanding. As long as that's all you ever do, don't worry about the amount of RAM or even the processor speed. Synology has a bunch of iOS apps. Some have terrible reviews. Yeah, don't use their apps. DS File, DS Photos. No, I don't Synology Photos. One has 4.5 stars. I would say use any of their apps. One of the reasons they get downrated is they change them and they cancel some. And the Photos app was memories. They went through a whole bunch of stuff. Don't do any of that. Just use it for backup. And for that, you can just use Synology Drive, which is their backup app, or I use SyncThing, which I run on the Synology and I run on all my machines, and it synchronizes to the Synology from every machine I have. I don't have to. It's completely automatic. I don't have to think about it. I would not use their apps. By the way, if you start using their apps, now you do want more processor because they're going to do things like face recognition. They do that on the drive. So if you want the capabilities of Apple's Photos or Google Photos, they have apps to kind of duplicate those capabilities. They're not as good. And they use processor on the Synology. So now you need a better Synology. I'd stay away from the apps. Just use it for backup. That's all you really want it for. You're using Apple Photos for all of that other stuff, the face recognition and all that stuff. And there are third-party apps. People are making good stuff. The Synology is definitely the way to go for a network-attached storage. And for people who are saying, what are you talking about? We're talking about a big, it looks like a big USB hard drive. It has one difference. It goes on the network and is visible from all the machines on the network. You can even make it visible on the public network. And that way you now have kind of a centralized backup system. It's basically a computer without a keyboard, mouse, and monitor. That's the Synology NAS. I hope that helps, Sasha. And I'm sorry if I misgendered you. All right. It has become noon o'clock.
It has become noon.
It has become noon o'clock, which means it has become time for Dick DeBartolo right after we take this breath of fresh air. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys, Mikah, Sargent, and Leo Laporte. Time for Dickie D. Hello, Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer and our GizWiz. How are you, Dick?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Great.
Every month we talk to Dick. Of course, he does a weekly show with Chad Johnson at gizwiz.tv. His website is gizwiz.biz because he's
Leo,
our gizmo wizard.
In 2 weeks, GizWiz 2000.
Oh, I have to record
Holy
something.
moly.
I got your email. I'm sorry. You know what? Mike and I will record something right after the show for you.
That'll be perfect.
Yeah.
And also, you were mentioning napping earlier.
Yes?
I do something. It's hard to do, but I do it. It's called double napping.
You take 2 naps at the same time?
Well, yes. While you do this after you go to bed.
Yeah.
During your sleep,
You take a nap.
you take a nap.
I wish I could.
Oh man, I'd love that.
It's hard to do, and also sometimes the dreams, people from one dream get in the other dream.
Oh, it's so confusing. They don't know.
So
is this the nap or
I
is
don't
this
do it that much.
Yeah. Oh, I would love
It's
to
an
double that.
advanced technique.
Lisa and I use
exactly.
a napping program called Pizziz. Did we ever tell you about Pizziz? P-Z-I-Z-Z.
No.
You use it, John? It was on the GizWiz. We talked about it. So Dick just doesn't remember, maybe because he's sleeping so much.
I was
taking a
sleeping
nap.
during that.
But it's a wonderful little sleep. And I always know when Lisa's doing a Pizziz because I hear, "Now close your eyes." And it plays
so it's
music,
got a whole thing.
and it talks you, it gives you affirmations while you're sleeping, and then it's you could set the alarm for 20 minutes or 30 minutes so you don't sleep too much, because the worst thing with a nap is to take a 5-hour nap. Just kind of forget.
Yeah, then it's
5 hours is not a nap.
I call that nap roulette, where you just go to sleep, you don't set an alarm, see how long you'll sleep for. And unfortunately, sometimes I wake up and it's the next day. Dick, do you have a gizmo or a gadget for us?
I have two. I have one that's over $1,000. Okay. There is an event in the city every summer called Sweet Sweet. It's a toy event. And there is a company, years ago, we did one of their robots, Roboson.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Not to be confused with Robitussin. You wouldn't take Robitussin for a cough.
No.
Okay.
No. Roboson has this new transformer. I sent a little bit of video there that you might see.
Yes.
This
John
guy
has it. Let's see it.
Oh, okay.
Wow,
It's Super Megatron. You didn't mention it's a
Yes.
transformer.
Oh, yeah. So this guy, maybe John can just go to the transformation when he goes from a tank to, I think it's about at one, there right there is good.
Dum,
I
dum, dum.
am
yeah.
Megatron and I am
Just
a
go
tank.
back a touch.
Go back so
yeah.
he can turn back into a tank.
He will do that. So he has 36 servo motors.
Oh, wow. This is
He has
going to cost a lot of money. Holy cow.
Leo, at the toy show, the guy said, "Here, hold it. It's about 14 pounds."
Wow.
Wow.
It is unbelievably interesting and good looking. Yeah, this is for, this is not for kids.
Oh, it's
Well, it
huge.
is,
these
though,
should-
because
Yeah.
but I guess there are adults now who
There are
like
lots of adults who-
Transformers.
yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
big.
Oh, and I love the programming. You can either program it through your computer or your phone, or you can just take him, put him in different poses, and then he'll learn to do that.
He's got a giant mace.
There he goes. Here he goes.
Whoa. He's turning into a tank.
Folding in.
So I'm putting this on my front door.
That's so cool.
And when somebody rings the doorbell, I'm going to have it open up and turn into Megatron. And it'll say, "You rang." Wow.
That is pretty cool.
This is
It
every
is
kid's
pretty neat.
dream toy. How much?
Yeah.
$1,000.
A little more.
That is-
$11.99.
Okay. Who is this for?
Not for us. Not for us.
It's for kids who never grew up. Or no, adults who never grew up.
Yeah, it's for adults who never. Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
they're smart. Because Transformers now, it's the people who grew up with Transformers are adults. Look at this. This is so cool. It's also big. It's like it's a foot tall, foot and a half.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And the original guy
That's
off
for
in the
that
corner,
guy.
he's
That's the-
just $1,000.
That's the guy. By the way, he's taller than you, isn't he?
Just a bit.
The top of your
Wait, what does he
hat
transform
and
into?
then him.
Just a bit. Yeah, that's the nine. This is the $699 guy,
Oh,
and
this
you
is the
just
cheapo
talk to
one.
him.
Yeah, he shakes his
and
fists.
he does
Is that
things. He
Optimus
turns
Prime?
into a truck. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly.
Oh, you
exactly
can see the
who
truck
it
on
is.
the front. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about time somebody said, "Oh, screw the cost. We're going to make a
An
child's toy
actual transformer.
that is perfect, that is everything you ever wanted, and too bad if you can't afford it." Because we're going to make it. That's kind of
All
apple.
of the photos
just
show
watch
the
this.
movement.
Just watch this.
It's turning into a dinosaur. That's super cool.
See, that is cool. That's because that's what they looked like in the show when they transformed. And so getting to actually see it in real life is pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just went all out. That's pretty cool.
Robotussin is the name of the company. No, RoboSend.
Exactly.
I wish them the best.
Robosend.com. Now I have something at the other end of the spectrum.
This is for, by the way, the same parents who will buy their kids a miniature Porsche to drive around the living room. Same people.
Oh, you can get it for $100 a month for 12 months as well.
They're not buying this on installment.
Then you'll never miss it. You'll never miss the money.
Wow.
All right. I have a little guy here that is the 3-in-1 brush. Okay. For some reason, he looks like an alligator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
But you have this kind of a brush, which was great. I have a Conair hair cutter, and I could never get the hairs out from under the blades. And in the instruction book, it said, just remove the 2 screws to clean under the blades.
No.
They don't tell you the blades are spring-loaded.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Boing.
a nightmare to undo, right?
And when you've done that, Micah, when the second screw lets go, everything goes. The hair is gone.
Yeah. So
yeah,
is
the
your
hair is
blade.
gone, but
Yes,
so
right.
is the spring.
Wow.
So is the spring and several pieces. Anyway, this was good for cleaning that out. I did this on Gizwiz. Someone in the chat room said, this little guy is great for cleaning under your nails. The little brush is for the thermos, the threads
look
in
at
the
that.
thermos. Yeah. Now this.
It's the Swiss
This is
Army
like-
brush.
Yes. 3 of them for $5.
What's that
on
one for?
Amazon?
Is that a lip
Which one?
brush? The one that's the alligator? What do you do with
This is also for cleaning, sticking in the side of a can where you can't get anything out. You can
the
slide
ridges.
it down the ridge
Oh.
and then clean. This is like for a thermos.
The screw ridges.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
It's
yes. You know
silicone.
that always has grunge in it.
Gunky, yeah.
You can right. So that's that. So if you can't afford the robot,
Then this transformer is great.
I must be
Yes,
something wrong
exactly,
with my
exactly.
housekeeping. I've never felt the need to have a variety of brushes.
really.
Because someone else has a variety of brushes for you.
Maybe that's
And he
it.
wonders why people in the studio are saying, "Thank God he's moving into it."
I just use a sponge for everything.
Oh, I don't use sponges. But
okay.
You don't use sponges at
No,
all
sponges
because they
gross me
hold
out.
bacteria.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
I use
Do
brushes.
brushes not hold bacteria?
Not as much.
Okay.
Not as much.
Can you
'Cause
microwave a brush?
You can't.
Okay,
I guess you
but
can microwave a sponge.
I do frequently.
That's good.
Yeah,
Then
that
you're fine.
kills-
Oh, that's
Kills all the
that's
germs,
good.
yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't do it for an hour. A few minutes, 2 minutes is plenty. Just get it steamy.
Yeah. I did that once, and then someone said, "You know that sponge cake that you were making in the microwave?
Didn't taste very good.
Terrible texture."
That's cool. Okay, so that's $5 on Amazon. It's just like
For 3 of them.
for 3 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. Maybe I need some brushes.
Maybe so.
I have a long, thin brush for brushing out your straw.
Love a good straw brush.
Straw brush.
Oh, yeah. We'll
That's the only
save that
brush I have.
because this is not good for that.
Okay. Okay. The gracious one in our YouTube says, bacteria is on everything. It's true.
True.
It's true.
It's everywhere.
You couldn't live without bacteria. I know. It's best not to think of it. Is that it, Dick?
Yeah. 2 things.
I mean, I'm not. I don't want to be ungrateful.
Not
no,
a
that's
bad. That's
more
No,
than
no,
enough.
no, no.
that's plenty. Yeah.
But I do think we should tell people about the what the heck
the
is
heck
it
is
contest. We're playing for Mad Magazine. I'm reaching back here to see if I can. There it is. We're playing for this Mad Magazine. Look, I even have it autographed, which is nice.
Well, you'll be playing for the next issue,
Not
which
this
is
one.
out in about 10 days.
Okay,
Yeah.
the Summer Bummer issue is already, that was the August issue. In 10 days, we'll get the new one. And what is a picture of? Do you know?
I know what it is.
You do?
Yes.
Don't say it out loud because there are 6 Mad Magazines autographed for the right answer. Of course, there's 12 for the wrong answer.
Yeah, I don't actually know what it is. If we
Best
show it
to
on
make it
screen,
up.
then I will say what I think it is.
I don't have my laptop with me, so normally I would have this up and showing it, but John's scrambling right now. He also has a video he wants to show. There we go. Gizwiz.biz. Click that red button that says, what the heck is that?
So this is obviously a stamp for the jack on a playing card. You know that they have that hat.
Oh,
and
you
the
know
hair?
what? That's very good.
Yeah. So they just stamp it on the black and then they put it on
does
the
look
playing
like
card.
the jack.
Thank you.
That is an excellent.
Either that or it's a thing you put in your closet to hold all your brushes.
Yeah, that's my brush hook.
It's your brush hook. Anyway, both those answers could garner you a signed copy of Mad Magazine. The 12 funniest, best wrong answers are winners as well. And we have to the end of
August.
Of next month. So get on over there.
Also, Lee, I was watching you and Lisa yesterday, and it dawned on me.
Were you using binoculars? How were you? What?
Yes.
Okay.
When you and I started, you were in the attic doing the show.
I've gone from the attic to the attic.
Wow.
But I
the
call
attic.
this one my retirement attic.
Oh, okay.
But you're right. It's actually a little nicer than this attic I started with. But the attic I started with did have a sink in it.
Oh.
And a tub. I remember you saying
there was a tub. There was a full bathroom on the other side. Anyway, this one does not.
No sink.
But it is a little more roomy. And yeah, we're going to be closing the studio in a little more than 2 weeks, I think. So this is kind of the beginning of the end. I'm going to have to take my entire collection. I've already moved my copies of Good Days and Mad, your book about Mad Magazine.
Oh, thank you for doing that.
Those are already in the new studio. I wouldn't lose those. And I have a complete collection of autographed Mad magazines as well to be saved. Yeah, so it is kind of the beginning of the end, Dick. But I will see you up in the attic.
Oh no, absolutely.
Bring your brushes.
Up on the rooftop, Dickie calls.
And don't forget that video so you can be part of show 2000.
Yes. Oh, we got to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Gizwiz.tv, the 2000th
That's
Gizwiz
incredible.
episode.
Great work.
Unbelievable. How many a week? How many a week? You do one a week?
Yeah, we do one a week.
But
you and I were doing one a day.
We used to do one a day.
Like 2 years, yeah.
So that's why you got so many under the
How
belt.
did you ever have enough content to do that? That's
it was exhausting.
incredible.
We do 5 in a row at one,
Oh.
at one time.
I can prove that here.
How many? Oh,
There we are.
Oh my gosh.
Look at you, Dick
Wow.
DeBartolo. This is on Bit Gravity.
look at those headphones.
What episode is this? 981 through 985.
Oh
do you
my
have it?
God.
Do you have the Colleen reel? Is that what that is?
This was still only streamed video. The produced version was still audio only.
That's right. So the reason there's videos, we put this on Bit Gravity so people could watch as we were doing it. But we were already almost 1,000 episodes in when we did this. That's kind of remarkable. Look how young you look. Look how young we both look. Holy
Oh my
cow.
gosh.
Yeah, let's watch this little segment here.
Okay.
It was really cute. It's so cute because Colleen had never built. She's a brilliant technology person, but she'd never built studios before. So initially, I think she perhaps was unclear on some of the concept involved in a recording facility. But she's learned very quickly.
Yeah.
Yes, she's caught on.
So you're looking at the resume and you go, so let me get this straight. You never built a television studio before, and yet you applied for this job?
That's exactly right. And not only that, I gave it to her without any really interview at all. I just said, come in, you're hired, get to work.
Oh, I would have asked to see 2 or 3 studios she already built.
I was very lucky. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I lucked out. As with pretty much everybody I've hired here. Except for Jammer B.
There?
He's terrible, yeah.
Oh, that's why you wanted to play it. Now I know.
Oh.
That's how long John has been working for us. John is retiring with the closing of the studio. He's going to move up to the Pacific Northwest and become I think he's going to be on The Deadliest Catch. He's going to become a
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching you.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, today marks 5 years of me being here at Twit.
No.
Whoa.
My friend. That 5 years went by like that.
I know, just...
Holy cow.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. If I had known that, I would have brought a cake or something.
A cake I couldn't eat.
I didn't even know. Yeah, I would have brought something loaded with carbs so I could eat it.
And gluten. Very exciting.
Dick, you and I have been doing the show together for almost 20 years. Well, if you include the screensavers, almost 30 years.
Yeah, a long time.
25 years anyway. Yeah, amazing. You're a dear friend, and I love you dearly. And you and Dennis are part of the family, and we're just so thrilled we could do this. Everybody, go to gizwiz.tv and watch the 2000th episode of the
on August 8th.
On August 8th, and congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dickie D.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Micah, take care. Bye.
Biz is the website. And I am hoping that Dick will come up into the attic. Not in person, although he could if he's out here. But come on and do. The whole idea of closing the studio is not a negative one.
Right.
I think people think, it's kind of the end of the line. And I'm joking around when I say it's my retirement attic and all that. But what it really is trying to rethink what we're doing. If we don't need advertisers, and with your help as members of Club Twit, we won't, then we don't have to do shows. I think we'll always do shows, both because we seem to still have advertisers, but also because that makes it easy for you on a commute or whatever to listen to a show about Macs or Windows or Twit or iOS today. But I think that more and more I feel like the strength of what we have here is the community, is a group of people like Dick, like you, like our wonderful viewers, like Rusty Bones, that we can make something that is a little more amorphous, less of a discrete show and more of a just, hey, let's turn it on and have some fun. And I hope Dick will be a part of that too, because that would be a lot of fun, where he just kind of comes on and I say, what you been up to? I'm doing episode 3000.
And here's some weird, quirky thing I found that you should check out.
We started, in a way, we started that way, although at the time it was really about shows. That's all I knew was, shows have beginning, middles, and ends. I don't want to have a beginning, middle, and end. I just want to kind of, like we did yesterday with Lisa and I, we just turn on the cameras and we talk. And then, I guess it's still a show. But I want it to be more a community meeting, a get-together, kind of like what Alex Lindsay does with Office Hours. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys. I guess I should at this point say, if you would like to join the club, it would really help us towards this goal. It's just $7 a month. You get ad-free versions of all the shows. You still get the shows. You also get access to the Discord, which is where all of this is going to be happening. You get special events. You get all the live streams. $7 a month, and it really helps us a lot in our attempt to break free of the boundaries of broadcast television into something different. twit.tv/clubtwit. And we would love to have you. Shall we do, what should we do now, John? You want to do another call? I should do another email? I got a whole stack here. Let's do an email real quick, because I do have this stack of emails and I would like to get through them all. This one is from Dieter.
Dieter, hello, Dieter.
Dieter. Hello, Leo and Micah from the beautiful Colorado Springs. Long-time listener, first-time emailer. Thank you for such a great show. Dieter, thank you.
Aww.
That's very sweet. You've spoken a few times about running Parallels and how well the Apple M series processors run Windows. I know, however, that it won't run everything a PC could, some high-end simulators and games, for instance. Take a few minutes to discuss what the limitations are and how we can determine if a piece of Windows-based software will or will not run on Parallels without having to buy it and try it. Maybe limit it to the M3 if it gets complicated. No, it doesn't. It's not about the processor. It's kind of similar to that call we had earlier,
right,
where the guy had the new Windows running on Snapdragon laptop. When you run Windows in Parallels, and by the way, you could do it in other emulators as well now, but Parallels was the first. You're running Windows on ARM. You don't run an emulated version of Intel Windows. You run that version of Windows that is designed for ARM processors. That way, it isn't such a heavy lift. It's one of the reasons why... John? You have your hand raised. Look at that camera. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh.
Hi. How are you? You're running on a version of Windows designed to run on not the M processors exactly, but the architecture that the M processors represent. And really, the Qualcomm Snapdragon Elite, which is running those Copilot Plus PCs, is in the same family. In fact, they're trying to make an M series processor. That's their goal.
So what you're saying is it's going to become more likely that applications will be able to run in parallels.
And this exactly the stuff that does not run on the Copilot Plus PCs will not run on Windows on ARM on a Mac.
Parallels, yeah.
So Fortnite, ExpressVPN, all the driver level stuff. Actually, it might run better, believe it or not, on Parallels, because Parallels does some emulation stuff, especially with low-level hardware. But I suspect it's going to be a very similar set of applications. And just as you say, it's going to get better.
Yeah, so it's probably sounds like what a person would need to do is look at whatever software they're going to get, and if it says it runs Windows on ARM, or if it says something, if it mentions ARM architecture, then it is more than likely that it will run on the Mac in Parallels or some other emulator.
Exactly.
If it doesn't say that, there could be a chance, but it's far less likely, so it wouldn't be worth
In
trying
the early days, some of the Microsoft apps, like the calculator, wouldn't run. Like Microsoft hadn't gotten all of its stuff working well in Windows on ARM, but now they have a very good Intel emulator in Windows on ARM. That's the Windows you're running on the Mac. I would say it's very comparable. Not in speed necessarily, because remember, you're still not running on direct hardware. You're running on a kind of an intermediary, but it's pretty close. Actually, honestly, it ran better until these new Copilot Plus PCs and the new Qualcomms came out. It ran better on a Mac than it would run on a Windows machine. So I would say, while there's no easy way to know if it'll run, there probably somebody has a database somewhere of what'll run and what won't run. I would say it's almost fully compatible with Windows, except for that very low level stuff. Like VPNs. I'm extremely happy with it. I left my laptop at home. I have an M3, and I left it at home, but I have Windows running on it, and it's my Windows machine. It works perfectly well. Yeah.
Have you come across any software that you haven't been able to use with it?
No.
Nothing? Yeah, you haven't run into any limitations yet?
No, but I haven't tried to run Fortnite or ExpressVPN.
Right.
But I would say most of the stuff that you're running is going to work just fine.
There's a question. If you are... Because, okay, so the Mac is the hardware, and the Mac has a card in it.
Yeah.
And you are running ExpressVPN on your Mac side of things. When you're emulating,
that'll work fine.
I wonder if that's still going to be going through the VPN.
Yeah.
Because technically it's pulling from the Mac
the
card.
network connection is still protected by the VPN. It doesn't go around it. So, yeah. I think if you want a Mac and you want to run an Apple Silicon Mac, which you shouldn't get an Intel Mac at this point. You might say, but there's no boot camp. That was the nice thing about the Intel Macs is you could run Windows on the direct on the machine in boot camp. You can't do that anymore. You have to run it in emulation. But it's when you're emulating on the same processor architecture, there's not such a penalty. So I think it's quite a good way to run. Now, if you want a game, it is the case you should probably get a Windows machine if you want a game. Or a Linux machine now with Proton is pretty accurate, pretty compatible. Or just get an Xbox or a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, that works too. Is your gaming machine in your attic?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I was playing Valheim just the other night.
Nice.
Very happily in Linux. John, let's take a call. I see a couple of people there in our lobby at our call.twit.tv Zoom. We also have a phone line open for you at 888-724-2884.
Welcome back, Jim.
Hi, can you hear me?
I hear you great. How are you? Our sound guy from the Hollywood Hills.
Yes. Thanks for taking it. I've been trying to get through for a couple of weeks. I sent you some emails. I figured you're just busy with the move.
Yeah.
I have a strange monster of a problem. No matter how many times I kill it, it keeps coming back.
Oh.
Several weeks ago, I tried to open the Word file of my book. All I got was the little blue whirligig for a second, and then nothing. I tried it on a smaller file, same problem. Now, I'm used to having this if I do a system restore a lot of my apps stop working. I have to go into settings, installed apps, and they've got the reset repair, and that fixes them. Well, Word isn't quite like that. It had an offline quickie and an online download and reinstall. Neither of them worked. I then looked online for various fixes. Nothing of those worked. Somebody said it could be a recent update. So I went back, uninstalled the most recent update, and it opened fine.
Oh, interesting.
Then I tried to use it. And although the small files ran fine, the big file wouldn't even scroll without stalling. At that point, I was pretty frustrated. It was late. I shut off the computer. And the next day, when I opened the computer, out of curiosity, I tried it and was back to working normally.
Weird.
So I said, okay, it was the problem with the update. I turned off I postponed all the updates so it wouldn't reinstall, was going along very happily. And then one day I tried to open and it froze again. And I said, oh, well, it can't be obviously the update. But remembering what happened last time, I simply restarted the computer and then it worked. And so went along fine for a while. And then it froze up on me again.
I just think you've gotten your book too big at this point to really use Word with it.
These are any Word.
Oh, any files at all. Okay.
Any Word
it's
Word
not
file
just
at
the
all.
big file.
Doesn't matter if it's just a docx, a docm. It's the Word program. I know now why you don't like Windows, but
I really don't like Word.
Yeah.
Although you have to use it. For most publishers, that's the way. Even my books, I had to write them in Word. I usually would write them in some other thing and then put them in Word. But I'm wondering if it sounds like it's weird that it comes and goes.
Yeah,
But it sounds like there is something corrupted. You know, Word loads a bunch of things as it starts up, including a normal template file.
Right. Now, remember, I have completely uninstalled and reinstalled a brand new copy of Word.
Yeah, but that wouldn't necessarily delete the cache.
Ah, okay.
So that does fix the program, but the program is saving, is storing other stuff, including various template files and things. I feel like some of those. It's weird that it comes and goes. I mean, obviously, it should only break or not break. It shouldn't. An intermittent problem is the worst kind because you can't say, well, what's causing it? I don't know.
I thought that I had found another solution for it. I had just copied a website, by highlighting everything in blue and clicking copy, and then pasted into a new Word file. And it crashed when I tried to do that. So I said, maybe I did that the last time it crashed. So I shut off the machine, rebooted it, started it, never tried to do that again, and it still froze up on me. So
on Windows, you have what's called an app data folder, and you can represent it, I think, with %appdata%. So usually it's under users, your username, app data, and you'll see as you dig down in the local folder, there should be a Microsoft Word folder. There may also be a temp folder. There may be an unsaved files folder in your Office. All of these are cached and are not, in fact, deleted when you uninstall and reinstall. So I suspect somewhere in there is something that's maybe damaged. Mm-hmm. So I would go into your app data folder. You can actually, I think, hit the command key and type CD %appdata%. I think you can go directly there.
I'll find it.
Yeah, you'll find it.
Yeah.
And then look at but there's both an Office subfolder and a Word subfolder. Look what's in there. Look at the dates of what's in there. maybe, you can, the next time you decide to reinstall Word, you can delete that whole thing and start over. But I'm going to guess, and it's not unusual that a program, because you've reinstalled a program, which means it's intact at this point, but it's still loading in cached files from the past. And I suspect that something in there is damaged.
Yeah. If you have trouble finding all of those different places, there's an application that I recommend for both Mac and for Windows. On the Windows side, it's called Clean My PC from MacPaw, and they have an uninstaller that doesn't just do the typical uninstall process, but it sort of finds the little octopus tentacles from every program that's reaching out, and it deletes everything as well. So if you look up Clean My PC MacPaw, then you'll be able to find that and try that out. That's if you have trouble finding all of the places.
Here's the larger issue, I think, Jim, is this giant book.
Yeah, but it's all my small.
I understand, but your book
too.
is so big that when you load it in, it's corrupting stuff. It's taking up. You see what I'm saying? It's taking up so much memory that stuff's getting damaged, and I think it's really hard to work on a 2,000-page document in Word. It's just not designed to do that. Yeah.
As I did say in one of my emails, excuse me, I did try the LibreOffice.
Well, yeah. What'd you think of it?
Well, it works very quickly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it has so jumbled the format of my book that fixing all 2,000 pages is daunting.
Yeah.
But who knows? I may wind up having to do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Could you export it from Word as rich text format instead of docx?
Oh, I tried that.
Oh, you did?
Changing it, that didn't make any difference.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Word is very proprietary. Yeah. Word is its own, and Microsoft really wants to keep it that way. And even though people have reverse engineered the doc and docx files formats, they're not perfect. And obviously LibreOffice, which can read those files, isn't reading it in its entirety. It's missing some of the stuff that Microsoft has stuck in there to make it more proprietary. It's too bad because LibreOffice, it's interesting. It does handle that size well. That's good to know.
Yeah. Well,
I think Word is your problem, really. It's just not designed for something. For people who don't know, Jim's writing an amazing book that I want to support you in this, because this book is going to be incredible about his life as a recordist, as a sound guy on movies in Hollywood, on some of the best movies.
That book has been put on hold by memoirs. No. This 2,000, that's 1,000 pages. The 2001 is this how to be a mixer.
Yes, and even so more much important.
Of it, and so much of it for young guys and gals that spend all their time on the phone and video games, they're not connected to the real world.
Here's a literal graybeard to teach you how to do sound mixing.
You get a flat tire, and then what do? They don't know how to change a flat. And if they do, they find out the little OEM lug wrench is too short to break loose the rusted lug nuts. And it's not like a grip or an electrician they got a bunch of. One of
is that going to be in the book?
Problem.
Are you putting that in the book, how to change a tire?
Absolutely.
I thought he was. That's part of the job. If you can't get to the shoot on time.
And if you got a quarter tank of gas and you park on a hill, you're in trouble there.
Tell us what's so one of the things Jim does when he puts up pictures from his career. What is this picture of?
That's the pilot for Babylon 5.
I love it.
And the Police Academy hat that I'm wearing is from Police Academy 4.5.
Did you do the sound for the guy who does all the
Michael Winslow?
Oh, he's amazing.
He really does do that.
Wow.
And,
he's amazing.
He told us a story. He was flying somewheres, and the little boing boing for the stewardess. Boing, he started making that and driving them crazy. And when they caught him, they sort of dressed him up like a stewardess and made him serve drinks and stuff to the other passengers.
Oh, at least they had a good sense of humor about it. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
So you can find there's a lot of YouTube video of is it Carl Winslow? What's his name?
Michael.
Michael Winslow. There's a lot of YouTube video of him if you want to see the amazing stuff he does. And this is the guy who put it on tape.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a pleasure
back
once
then
again,
it was
Jim.
on tape.
I am
You got it.
I am so sorry. I will go back and look at my emails. You're right. I've been so nuts with this studio adjustment that I haven't paid attention to anything else. But I will go back and look at the emails and see what I can do. Thank you, Jim.
All right.
Great to talk to you.
Not a problem.
Take
Always
care.
a pleasure.
It is. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Do you know who Michael Winslow is? You saw those Police Academy
absolutely.
movies. Of course, he's legendary. Coming up, we're going to do a little photo review with our good friend Chris Marquardt on Ask the Tech Guys. Mikah Sargent, Leo Laporte, and your calls coming up at 888-724-2884. Who should we talk to, John? You get to be in charge here. Well, can you raise your hand if you're on a cell phone?
Raise your hand if you have a question.
Or are they on the Zoom?
All you need to do is hit the little hand icon in the bottom of the Zoom
We say this
interface.
because sometimes people go into the Zoom just to listen.
to hang out, yeah.
Just to see what's going on. Carl Winslow is from Family Matters. That's a different one. Okay. Yes, old chap digger. He says, a great idea for audience engagement, drag queen story tech hour.
That could be fun.
I'm game. I don't know if I'd look good in a dress, though. We might have to get somebody else to do the.
I look pretty good in a dress.
You look. What was that thing you were on Halloween?
Some sort of
a
like
Nereid or something.
Sea harpy or something. Yeah.
Yes, you were quite lovely. I don't know what gender you were. I don't know if that was a drag queen exactly.
It was on its way to being.
Yeah, but it was more like a sea creature queen.
I mean, have you seen how drag queens dress?
That's true.
They wear all sorts of things.
That's true. That's true.
All right. Maybe we should go to email while we wait for people to raise their hands.
Raise your hand if you want to be on. And if you would like to be on, this would be a good time to go to call.twit.tv on your phone's browser or dial 888-724-2884. This is from Doug in Sydney, Ohio. Hi, Doug. Happy Twit Club supporter. Yes.
Thank you.
With a simple question. When Apple adopts RCS, will I be able to see those messages in my iMessage app on my Mac?
Yes.
That's a good question.
I had a few little caveats there. Yes, you will be able to, but only if you use text message forwarding. It is a setting on your iPhone. On your iPhone, you go into settings, you go into messages, and there's an option that says text message forwarding. And that's already existed. You can already see green bubble messages on your Mac.
Oh.
Your Mac needs to be logged into the same iCloud account as your phone. And I believe that iMessages in the cloud needs to be turned on for this feature to work at this point. But essentially what happens is, on your phone, you're getting those text messages coming in, and then Apple uses the iMessage server to forward those along to your Mac so they'll show up at the same time. And when you send a message on your Mac to a green bubble, then it uses your phone's account to actually send that message to the person with whom you're communicating. So it actually becomes a little bit simpler with RCS given the way that transports over the network instead of being SMS or MMS, which is its own little pocket, but instead it's data. So it's going to become even easier to be able to see RCS messages.
People think the color of the bubble had to do whether it was an Android person, but it's not. It has to do with the method of transport.
Exactly. You could end up having a green bubble with an iPhone person if they don't have iMessage turned on, or if they're out of range of cellular data.
I've moved to iOS 18, iPad OS 18, Sequoia, because the public betas came out. I tried, it's one of those things you can't have just one. I tried it on my phone, then I tried it on that's slowly my whole system, because I'm actually loving all these features.
Yeah.
One of the features is RCS on the iPhone. I texted my daughter who has an Android phone, and she was so excited. She said, "Dad, you got an Android."
Aww.
I said, "No, I got iOS 18. So it is a green bubble.
My brother, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I didn't expect somebody not really in tech to be excited about it. But my brother, who's not in tech, he had asked me, what are some of the cool features? Because I'm planning on joining the public beta. He usually does. And I mentioned a few. And then later that day, he got back to me and he was like, wait, I can send normal messages to an Android user now? I said, yeah, you can. I didn't think you'd be excited about that, but yeah, you can.
And the images look good.
And you get delivered.
all
That's the big thing I like.
So great.
I know that it got delivered.
You like to see it was read. And it was
yeah,
delivered.
even if they don't have read receipts turned on, that's fine. But then I can see that it actually
got to the phone.
Yeah, it got to the phone.
Yeah, that's only necessary because it so often doesn't.
Yeah, then that's always been my concern. Do I need to break this text message up into multiple texts because it might not get there? Is it going to arrive out of order? Are the photos going to be super? So this is
great. A boon
RCS
for people with mixed families.
Indeed.
We can all talk together. I see a hand up.
Yeah, I think there's actually somebody waiting for us in the room. What's your name and from where are you calling?
There we go. Look at it. There you go. What's your first name?
How you doing? My name's Peter. I'm calling from Troy, New York.
Hi, Peter.
Beautiful Troy, New York. Hi, Peter. Yeah, welcome.
Great. Hey, I've never called your show before, but Leo, I've been following you since the days of Tech TV.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I just keep going and going. Somebody said in one of the Discord, or actually I think it was probably Twitch, what is this with these boomers? They just don't stop talking. I guess it is. I guess that's the case.
No. We sure don't.
What can we do for you, Peter?
Well, and just one thing, Mikah, since Leo forgot, congratulations on your work anniversary.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Holy cow. I guess if I followed you on LinkedIn, I would have known.
That's the only way I knew.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I have a calendar event, but
5 years. What is the 5th anniversary gem?
Is it paper? It's always paper.
It's always paper or a clock.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, come on, really? I'll give you a clock. I got a few.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
What I was calling for was I have an old Windows home server. I don't know if you remember those from quite a few years ago.
I do, and it was Paul Thurrott's favorite thing in Windows.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
And then they took it out.
They did. But anyway, mine suddenly stopped working about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Microsoft broke it on purpose.
I think so, because it won't boot up. In other words, it turns on, but it won't boot into the system anymore. And I've tried multiple times to fix that.
Yeah.
My thing is, I was silly back then, of course. Oh, that's my backup. That's where all my stuff is. So guess what? I have tons of stuff, mostly family photos on there. And I want to get them off the drives, but I'm so nervous as to how to do that. And I'm sure you've had this question before. But I just don't know the best way to get that stuff off.
Wow. So you can't boot it at all?
No. So it turns on and everything, but in order to boot it up, there was a convoluted way of you had to hook up a PC locally to the network cable, and you would work on booting it up that way. But that just isn't working anymore.
I think you're going to have to open it up and take out the hard drive is what I think.
Right.
But you're kind of wondering what's the process for that?
Yeah, no, I can take them out. That's not a big deal. I'm very technical that way. But how do I get the data off? I'm
hoping it's just normally formatted, and that when you put in a USB enclosure or one of some sort of enclosure that you can then mount, that you will see a normal file structure, and that it's somewhere in there's going to be all the videos and movies and all the stuff that you've recorded. I'm hoping.
I'm hoping that would be the case too, but I've just been so nervous.
I don't know off the top of my head. It's harmless to take it out.
Yeah, I was going to say doing it in the first place is going to be fine.
Especially if you put it in a USB enclosure and you mount it that way, because it might be a little risky putting on a SATA connection, and it might then, I don't know, the PC might then say, oh, that's my machine or whatever, my hard drive.
Sure. So I'll have to purchase a USB enclosure because I don't have one anymore. So,
yeah, the ones I always recommend for this kind of thing come from Newer Tech, and the reason is it's a bare bones USB connector. It's actually really they call it their universal drive adapter. It's a very handy tool. Here, I'm still on the stream in here. Let me see if I can find a website that shows this. it's a simple little thing. You wouldn't use it for long-term purposes.
Oh, of course not.
Somebody's selling this on eBay, but it has all the connections for various hard drives and turns it into a USB drive, which you can then plug in. You can get it new on Amazon. I wouldn't get it on eBay.
No.
But
and what was the name of it again?
It's from a company called Newertech, Newertech. Their universal drive adapter. Every geek should have one of these because it's not unusual for you to have a drive that's in something that died and you want to take the drive out temporarily. Right. It's not for long term, but temporarily connect it.
Less than $30 on Amazon.
Yeah. Now,
so
you could get a more expensive USB enclosure that you put it in and you close it up, and then you can use it as an external drive. But I think before you do that, just have this thing, just see if you can see it.
Yeah. And sure. I'll give you a little suggestion based on personal experience. I had a network attached storage device that went kaput. And this was in the before times when I just bought a single hard drive that was a network attached storage. So I didn't have RAID, I didn't have all the magic. And when it went kaput, I took it out. I had to actually quite literally break plastic clips because it was never intended to be used this way. So I sort of got it out of the plastic enclosure, plugged it in with the enclosure that I had, plugged it into a Mac, nothing would show up. I plugged it into a Windows machine, nothing would show up. And so what I ended up doing was I took the Linux machine that I had and I was able to put it on there and it did mount and I was able to get the files off of it. So if you were for some horrible reason to run into a problem where you couldn't get it while you're booting it, rather attaching it to Windows, mounting it on Windows, Linux is always there as a backup. It worked for me just fine.
Because it could see all different file systems. The only problem you'd have, and I don't think the Windows Media Server, this is the Newertech on Amazon. It's $28. You see it provides power because some like drives like this is a laptop 2.5-inch drive. You get both data and power on a single connector. So this really has both connectors. It provides power, and then you can connect it right up into your machine temporarily again.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Windows Media Server just has one hard drive, right? It doesn't have multiple drives in it.
I'd actually put another one in, so it has 2 hard drives.
But they're not rated. It's just a lot of storage.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I don't believe they're rated at all. No.
Yeah.
No.
Let me and remind me, Peter, on Wednesday I'll ask Paul, because Paul loved this thing, and maybe he has some suggestions. He had an HP Windows Media Server, and he just thought it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Was very angry.
That's what mine is too. It's an HP one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Paul probably still has his. I'll ask him how he got the stuff off of it. He was mad. In fact, remember, Microsoft actually removed it from the installation. So if you upgraded from Windows 7 to whatever it was, Windows 8, it would actually take it out. It deleted the program.
It did in fact.
And we talked a lot about that on Windows Weekly. And I guess we figured out that Microsoft's telemetry told them no one ever turns this on. So we could take it out. But they forgot about Peter from Troy, New York. By the way, you live in a beautiful home. You obviously are a little bit in the woods. What a view.
I am.
You have such a beautiful view. Oh,
it is a beautiful
Is this your lab?
One could call it that. My wife calls it my mess, but...
That's what my wife calls my lab. or my nest, or she has all sorts of awful names for it. Yeah. That looks like a very beautiful place to work. Lots of sun. How nice.
Yep.
How nice.
Great.
Thanks, Peter.
Well, thank you.
Nice to meet you after all this time.
Nice speaking to you, and good luck with your retirement office.
Yeah, you'll see me in my mess. It is a mess, by the way.
I saw that yesterday because I watched.
Yeah. Well, you saw it. Yeah.
You and Lisa. So I saw the view.
It's like a kid's room. I should put a sign on it that said "No grown-ups allowed" or something. But it's mine, and that's all that matters. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks
Take
so
care.
much for your call.
Have a great day.
Have a good rest of your day.
Really, really great to talk to you. 88. I don't know why I'm saying the number 88. Those are some numbers. 88, 87, 24, ATTG 1. Club Twit member budget NAS question from Dustin in Vancouver, British Columbia. Hi, Dustin. Hi, Micah and Leo. Using an old Mac Mini as a local Plex server. What did we tell you? That's what happens, right? Time Machine Target and Apple Content Cache for my home. Well, it died on me. I'm sorry. After years of running 24/7, I could fix it, but I think, it's 13 years old. I should move on. Now on the market for a NAS, and I would like to spend under $250 USD, which could do all those things. He's looking on 3 at the moment. The 1-bay Synology DS120J. That's under $250 without the disc, right? The Buffalo Link Station. What are you laughing?
It's just that name, Buffalo.
Yeah, and the WD MyCloud Home. Can't recommend the MyCloud. I just had too many issues.
Breaches and stuff.
Problems. So it's cheap because WD Western Digital makes the drives, right? It's just a way for them to sell drives. It might be fine. I mean, I know a lot. Part of the reason you hear so many bad things about it is so many people have it.
Yeah,
it's probably
the
most
more
common.
Mm-hmm.
They call them JBODs, just a bunch of disks. It's 4 terabytes. So price is right? That includes a drive. The reason we always talk about Synology is not price, but the software is really good and the capabilities are really good. But I'm not sure I would recommend a single bay Synology.
Yeah, don't do single bay. That's what I was just talking about. The first one I ever got was single bay. It's all I could afford at the time, and that was as much as it was helpful while it worked. When it stopped working, it was bad because I didn't have access to it.
I would take advantage of the mass market for Western Digital's MyCloud Home. I mean, they sell them in big box stores. They sell them everywhere, and get it from a big box store. I'm sure Vancouver has
good deals that way, right?
A Best Buy or a Costco or something like that. Well, the reason, at least in the U.S., and I think this is true in Canada, the reason you get it from a Costco or Sam's Club or Price Club is because of their excellent return policy. A lot of times on technology, they're just completely lenient. They'll take anything back after even a few months. So if you get the Western Digital at a big box store, the price is going to be low, and then you're going to have the option to bring it back. Find out what the return policy is. I think that's probably going to be your best bang for the buck.
Yeah.
When they work fine. There's nothing. I've had them. There's nothing wrong with them, and that it is going to be the least expensive. Now, Plex server, Time Machine Target. It'll work as a Time Machine contact.
Yeah, I know it works as Time Machine. Plex I know you can install Plex on it.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go.
So you should be good to go.
Yeah. We love NASs, but they are not the low-cost leader by any means. You don't want to save on a NAS. You want to spend on a NAS.
That's the investment. Yeah.
Sorry to say, that's the investment. I guess more emails. We don't have any voicemails today.
We're about 5 minutes out from
we have
Mr.
a little more time for Chris. Oh, okay. Well, let me do one, and then we'll do Chris. Rotate SSD drives to prevent deterioration of data, Jacob asks. From Gothenburg, Sweden. Hi, Jacob. Hi, Leo and Micah, longtime viewer, Club Twit member in Sweden. Right on.
Nice.
Love
Thank
that.
you.
We're very grateful, especially to our Club Tip members overseas, because I know it's a little more difficult.
Yeah. Usually with every
payment,
single monthly payment, they're getting charged extra because of international processing fees. So
sorry.
The fact that you do that is really
thank you.
Very kind.
I've heard that with SSD storage or USB stick storage, the data will deteriorate over time. And to prevent this or refresh the data, it's good to rewrite the disk, as in copy the data to another drive, write it back to the disk. No. Do not. I copy all my digital photos and other data to 2 external SSD drives as I don't want cloud storage for a variety of reasons. How often do I need to do this? What is a good practice to prevent data loss? Is it enough to copy the data to another drive and back? Or do you need to format the drive and refresh the sectors so they hold a full charge again? The problem with SSD wear is not that it gets weak and then you can format it and make it better. It's that it wears out. It literally wears out and won't hold a charge anymore. All modern SSD devices have a lot of ability to avoid this using something called wear leveling, where they're careful to write evenly across the whole disk, and then a lot of redundant excess capacity, so that if a cell fails, they can they can move it. I would not worry about doing this copying and restoring at all. I wouldn't do that. Modern SSDs are as reliable as spinning drives. In fact, in my experience, more reliable than spinning drives. The one thing that you probably are thinking of when you think of this, or you're trying to trigger, is there's a trick that you do with SSDs that has to do with reallocating space that was formerly used but isn't used again, and it's called, and the name is just off the tip of my tongue. But anyway, you don't have to worry about that. Modern operating systems do it automatically. Modern drives do it automatically. In the early days of SSDs, you had to manually trigger this rewrite. You don't have to do that anymore. So I think you're going to be just fine. Trimming. Thank you very much, Eric. Trimming. So trim is built into Linux, Windows, and Mac. It's done automatically. You don't have to think about it. For a while, the trick to trim a hard drive on Windows was to optimize. Now, you don't need to optimize SSDs. There's zero seek time to every sector on the SSD, so it need never be optimized. But it turned out if you didn't optimize, you ran Disk Optimizer on an SSD in Windows, it would trim it. I don't think you even have to do that anymore. So I think you're good. Just have a backup, right? All hard drives fail. Now, it is true that USB storage is a different kind of, it's NAND, but it's a different kind of, perhaps less robust NAND than an SSD. Get good USB cards and sticks. And if you want to make sure that the card or stick that you bought from Amazon actually holds what it says it did, Steve Gibson has a program called ValiDrive that actually will look and make sure that your drive has enough, has as much storage as it claims, which isn't always the case. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys. Mikah Sargent, Leo Laporte, Chris Marquardt coming up. Photo guy Chris Marquardt joins us from the Viewfinder Villa, and he's always a welcome sight here, the author of some wonderful books on film photography, wide-angle photography, a great photographer in his own right. You'll find him at discoverthetopfloor.com. You'll also find his great expeditions there. And every month he gives us an assignment. And in that assignment, we have 4 weeks to take pictures. I forgot the assignment. What was the assignment this month?
Weathered. The last assignment was weathered.
Weathered.
My brain must be weathered because I completely forgot that was the...
I don't even remember that. Well, did you get any submissions?
Loads.
This time around, I think we have a winner. We are now at around 40 submissions.
Wow.
This is on the Flickr group called The Tech Guy. 40.
People said, I have weathered things to show.
Apparently, weathered really spoke to people. So Chris is going to pick 3 that he likes a lot.
Yeah, if you leave things out long enough, they get weathered. It happens. It's all around us. And,
I'm weathered.
We have... Yes, me too.
Yes.
He's been left out in the sun for a long time.
Yes.
Exactly. And we have so many awesome photos. This time around, it was even harder than usual to pick a few because there's so many good photos.
And I love a good rusty photo. I'm not going to lie to you.
I like weathering.
I love a nice rust.
There's this whole genre of urban exploration where people seek out places that are derelict, that are lost, that are given up, and everything is like plants are growing through the cracks and that kind of stuff. It touches something in people. So I have chosen 3 photos. The first one by Thomas B. Old Rusty Ford, an old Ford truck in a state of arrested decay in Bodie State Park in Bodie, California.
Oh, is that beautiful? Now, this is more than just a weathered hut. This is a beautiful...
And the sky, oh my Lord!
So we're looking at a night shot. The Milky Way is there. There's an old barn or building, and this old Ford, and they're both lit by the moon. Oh. And this is a technically challenging photo. I mean, you have to have a tripod. You have to have a long exposure. You need to be prepared for when the Milky Way is up in the right direction. You can't have a lot of stray light. So this is a very, very good.
This takes a lot of planning
this photo.
and thinking. This would be great wallpaper. So you can't make it too long of an exposure because you'll get stars. The stars will streak. So it has to be long enough, though, to get that light in.
Well, but the trick is if you have to expose longer, and we're talking 15, 20 seconds max with these kind of photos. Otherwise, as you said, you get star streaks. The trick is to maybe take 2 photos, make it a composite. I'm not saying that that Thomas has done that, but that would be one method to kind of counter that.
So you need to know what you're doing. This is a beautiful shot from Bodie, California.
Yes.
Well done.
All right.
Well done.
Second one is by Abdul Mukit, Path Toward the Setting Sun. He writes an old path between By the way, I'm so happy that the pictures don't just have names, they have a description. So he writes an old path between a field at my home, spent so much time in my childhood around here, but not sure I ever noticed as beautiful as this. It was better maintained once, but I love it all the more now. And it's taken on his Pixel 8 on his phone.
With no edits even. Wow.
Here we go. And so it's an old weather path. It's overgrown with trees. But what I love about it is the direction of the light. If you look at where the sun is, he's shooting straight into the sun. Now, the sun is a bit covered up by the leaves, but that gives you these beautiful shadows coming at you from behind everything. Even I like leaves and blades of grass are a bit translucent, so these light up in that light because they're lit from behind. And the sun also gives you a spot to go towards, right? Don't go to the light, or maybe you do in this case. So it's beautiful, very beautiful.
Yeah. Stunning.
And then, last but not least, by Jane McFarland, Eerie Weathering. What we're seeing here.
Ooh, it's black and white.
I love that style.
Yeah.
So it's black and white. You see it like it's a tree, a couple of trees, and some water, and some of the roots are growing into the water. And it's a lot of dark in this photo. Like, the shadow, there's lots is in the shadow. The water is black, and you have light, but I'd say it's probably half of the pixels are almost black in this photo. But still, that doesn't just take away light; it adds to the mood. It makes this a really interesting photo. Lots to explore here.
Great choice to do that too in black and white. Yeah. Really nice images.
Wow, those are gorgeous.
Thank you to all of the people who submitted. And if you want to see all of the images, you can. You just go to flickr.com and look for the Tech Guy group. You should be a member of the group so you could participate in our photo assignments. You'll know you're there because my face is there, and you'll also see something like 11 or 12,000 members. It's a very, very big group. We're very proud of it. And it is time to go to the fishbowl once again.
Here's the fishbowl, and of course, lots of little snippets of paper. Oh, this is a good one. This is a really good one. Hypnotic.
Oh,
Hypnotic.
That's fun.
Hypnotic. So, what does that mean? Well, it means you've got 4 weeks to take a picture of something hypnotic.
Easy,
whatever that means to you, right? It could be it's hypnotic. It could be I don't know, what could it be?
It could be
You're
a bottle of hypnotic.
Something.
You could be you are getting sleepy. Whatever that means
pendulum.
to you, and that's the point, is we don't tell you. You have to figure that out. If you find something once a week, if you find something you really like, you can once a week upload to our Flickr group. Make sure you tag it TG Hypnotic for Tech Guy Hypnotic, or Tech Guys Hypnotic, TG Hypnotic, and Flickr lets you tag. In fact, that's a big part of what the Flickr ethos is you tag your stuff to make it easy to search for it and find it. TG Hypnotic. You can have other tags too, but make sure you have that one. Our wonderful moderator, Renee Silverman, who has run this group for many, many years. Thank you, Renee. We'll welcome you to the group if you're not already a member. We'll accept your photo and put it in the pool for all those other photos. And Chris, in a month, will come and judge. He will be the judge and jury.
But
Chris,
not the execution.
40 submissions to beat.
That's
40.
amazing.
We can do
that is
even better.
Really great.
Wowza.
Chris, of course, hosts wonderful photo expeditions. He's got an Eastern European one coming up, I think. Discover the Top Floor is the place to find out. When are we going to Bhutan?
I am actively working on that right now. We are possibly talking mid to fall next year.
Oh, how exciting.
So if you're really interested, I can keep a space for you.
I am. Well, I am. We're doing a Mississippi River cruise in fall of 2025, but I think I don't know the date, but the chances of it not, we'll see.
We're still planning, so give me your dates.
I'll give you the dates that you shouldn't do it on. But then I'm committed, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
it's real.
Then I have to go. Let's see. Mississippi River cruise is September 28th through October 11th of next
25.
year. Yeah. So, but I mean, if you go to Bhutan 2 weeks later, I'm not sure I can afford to do the Mississippi River cruise and go to Bhutan. I have a job here, even if I am in the attic. I got a job to do here. Thank you.
We'll figure it
Bhutan
out.
is the happiest place on earth, and it's a really wonderful place to go take pictures.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The kingdom of the Thunder Dragon.
Yeah. Thank you,
That's
Chris
what we call
Marquardt. DiscoverTheTopFloor.com, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take
See you
care.
guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
It's hypnotic. Just like that. That was perfect. The tech guy Stargate is hypnotic. Johnny,
we'll drain the emails.
We're down to our
we're at the
last
last
email. We
email.
cannot use this as a crutch much longer. Call us. We need some calls. 888-724-2884. Here is Eliezer from, doesn't say where. Bitwarden Argon 2 settings. Hello, Leo and Micah. I was trying to switch from PBKDF2 to Argon 2, but didn't go through with it when I got to the settings. So let's first explain what it's talking about.
Let's start there.
When you use a password manager, one of the ways a password manager keeps you secure, it stores all your passwords that it makes in a big blob, an encrypted blob. But it does something extra to make those passwords even more unrecoverable, and especially to make the master password unrecoverable. It salts them. It hashes them and salts them. The PBKDF2 stands for password key derivative function. I don't know what the B stands for, but key derivative function is the idea. It's something that you run a password through a few times to make it impossible to brute force. And then you use the resulting hash instead of the password. So if you think about it, when I log into my password manager, I type a password, let's say monkey123. And then instead of storing monkey123, what it does is it processes it, it hashes it and salts it, and comes up with a token, a number, that represents the end result of that hashing and processing. That number is then what it will use from then on. It doesn't store monkey123. All it does is, the next time I log in, is it takes monkey123, runs it through the same process. It's a one-way process, by the way. Comes up with that token and sees if it matches the token it's got in its storage. If it does, it lets you in. That's actually the best practice for storing passwords. Don't store the passwords in the clear. Store them in a way derived that you can derive it again. So it's deterministic. It's not like encryption. It will be the same each time you run it through it, but it's one way. So if somebody gets that hash, they can't figure out what the password was from it. So it's a great way of keeping a symmetric password secret because you can't figure it out even if you get the password store. So there are many ways to do this. The most common, most password managers use it is PBKDF2. However, there are issues with that hashing, and so as time goes by, the number of times you've run it through has gone up. Initially, in the early days, you might do it 1 or 2 times through the key derivative function. Now we recommend 2 million times. The problem is that takes CPU cycles. So the reason we can recommend those big numbers is because you have a lot of processors, so you can chew on it for a while, and it's not, you really don't notice it. Same thing when they're decoding the passwords from your password vault. It's pretty quick. It only runs it once, by the way. It runs it to match the master password, and then it decrypts the vault. So it's really on the master password. So but it's not, PBKDF2 is not what we call memory hard. So that's why you have to do it so many times. It's not perfect. There are other ways of doing it that are memory hard. Steve Gibson has mentioned both scrypt and Argon 2. And so I'll continue now with Eliezer's question. I've been switching my PBKTF2 settings every time Steve Gibson recommends an increase of iterations, but I guess I must have missed his recommendations for the Argon 2 option. So because it's memory hard, it's a whole different thing. There are parameters to Argon 2. When you turn on Argon 2, and you can do this in Bitwarden, it's actually a really great story. Bitwarden's open source. One of our listeners, Quexen, to Security Now, heard Steve talking about scrypt and Argon 2, and actually took it on himself to write implementations for Bitwarden of both.
So cool.
And you submit it with it's called a pull request. So he submitted a pull request to Bitwarden, and they said, wow, thank you. They assessed both. They said, we don't want to confuse people. We're going to adopt Argon 2. So they took Quexen's implementation. They may have modified it, I'm not sure, but they took Quexen's implementation and implemented it. So it is now, and it is preferable, if you have the choice, to PBKDF2, it is memory hard. So it's a much better choice. But I understand why you're asking this question, Eliezer, because when you click the button that says turn on Argon 2 in Bitwarden, it gives, I think there's something like 4 or 5 or 6 parameters.
It's a lot.
And you go, but Steve never said anything about that. The default parameters are the recommended parameters. Just say, okay. You don't need to turn that up. I asked Steve, says the same thing. They're well chosen. Those are actually the parameters recommended by the group that kind of oversees all of this. And it's perfectly good parameters. You could, without harming yourself, modify them, but I would just leave them. So he says, should I just use the default? Yes, use the default. And keep listening to Security Now, and if it comes around that there is a time, I don't anticipate this happening, where you need to modify those Argon 2 parameters, we will let you know. But right now, the default settings are well chosen, they're correct, and I would stick with that. And it's really great. It's a really nice story. We should mention Bitwarden is a sponsor. But it's a very nice story. So that's the advantage of having an open source product, if you ask me. On we go with the show. I see a hand raised.
Our main man, Mikah.
From our main man, Mikah, our airplane geek. Hi, Mikah. Join us on Ask the Tech Guys. Come on into this Stargate.
Hello, boys.
Hello.
Thank you for responding to our call. Our call for help.
You said you were stuck, and I'm only here to help. You know, that's the kind of guy I am.
Bless you, sir. Could you believe what happened with Delta last week? Speaking of airplanes.
What a mess. What a terrible mess. And you want to know what the worst part of that is in terms of the way it looks? Delta's CEO decided, while it was still in process, to go to the Olympics. And he flew to Paris.
Oh, his flight was okay. He could have taken a few people with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, on his private jet, no doubt. Wow.
It was a real mess. A good friend of mine flies for Delta, and he told me that at one point he was sitting in the pilot. He was called into work, and he was sitting in the pilot's lounge all day because they had no place to put him. They were trying to put everything all together.
Because all their scheduling software was borked as well.
Right.
Terrible, terrible thing. Yeah.
But you notice Southwest didn't have a problem. I guess Windows 3.1 wasn't affected.
Okay. Now that is, and you know this perfectly well, Mikah. You're giving me the chance to debunk that story. You know why Southwest wasn't affected, nor was JetBlue? They don't use CrowdStrike. That's all.
I know, but it's a great joke, isn't it?
It's a wonderful joke. It's interesting. We've mentioned it on the shows because it's actually an example of how journalism standards have kind of gone downhill a little bit. This appeared first as a joke tweet some years ago, saying that Southwest scheduling software looked like it was written in Windows 95, and then somehow got a life of its own and was spread by other people. And as usual, when you play telephone, you've ever played that game as a kid, as it keeps going through iterations, it got wilder and wilder and wilder. And finally, Tom's Hardware, of all supposedly reputable blogs, said, yeah, they were running Windows 3.1, and that's why they didn't get bit. No, they. By the way, Southwest never debunked this, as far as I know. But no, they're not running Windows 3.1. They just don't use CrowdStrike.
You know what's fascinating from an aviation perspective on this story is that when you're dealing with aviation, when you're dealing with airlines, when you're dealing with flying, you never have any one object that has a single point of failure. And
that's
this
true.
Certainly had a single point of failure.
No
There's always backup systems, but this apparently didn't. So it's a good thing they weren't in the air at the time, I suppose. But it makes no sense. Well, I'm not as expert on the subject as you, but I don't, even if your show isn't going to go on the air because your computer crashed, what are you going to do? You have another computer that's all set to run. You can do it, So why isn't this kind of thing backed up in case of an emergency like this?
It is a difficult, and I'll be honest, I like Delta. I've always enjoyed flying Delta. And there are places like Atlanta that you pretty much have to use Delta to get to. But boy, this is just unaccountable. This is just not good. Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. Delta is a very good airline to fly from my perspective.
They have great personnel. I love the flight attendants, love the pilots.
In terms of U.S. carriers and the big four, they are the cream of the crop.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The best of the worst.
Okay.
Cream of the
Who's
crop.
your favorite carrier?
Oh, I really can't say that. Usually, the European and the Asian carriers are very good.
Yeah.
Singapore is wonderful. Lufthansa
Singapore.
is great.
Yeah. I always fly Lufthansa when I'm going into Germany. Yeah.
Emirates would be absolutely fabulous.
I flew
Always
Emirates once.
great
Everybody
service.
always mentions Emirates. I've flown Emirates business class. It's nice.
But you didn't fly in first class where you could take a shower at
They didn't have
35,000
showers.
feet,
I was going to Dubai for a TED Talk, and they flew me in business class. It was very nice, but I didn't have a shower, no. I could say I've gone on it, though, and that was all I cared about. I've had that experience once now.
Very high quality service.
Yeah.
But I'm calling, you may recall I called in 2 weeks ago, and this is really a follow-up call to that. I was having trouble with my Shure MV88 Lightning microphone. Trying to get it to work with USB-C. And so you guys helped me find the adapter that I needed, the short jack. I can get a dongle, but the short jack made by a company called Turbran, I believe, and I got it from Amazon, and it works with microphones. It's OTG on the go, works with microphones, works with headphones, does not work with the Shure MV88.
Oh,
absolutely not recognized. And again, the only thing I can find that works with it is the Apple USB-C to Lightning dongle. That dongle works, with a little cable in between, but none of these jacks, even the one that, I can't remember who it was in the chat room that was so helpful and found it. Even the one that's supposed to work with microphones is not
at least it was relatively
by that
cheap.
microphone.
I am sorry
Dang
that it
it
doesn't work, though.
That is...
Didn't know if you had any ideas as to why. I just can't figure out why it wouldn't if it works with other mics. Why it won't. This particular mic is not recognized at all.
Apple puts proprietary circuitry into all of its Lightning connectors. And that circuitry is necessary for decoding and encoding audio. And apparently, there is no third party that wants to pay the fee for that Lightning
So
circuitry.
you said
That's
it
all
works
I
with
can think
other
of.
microphones. What do you tested it with something else and it worked?
My ATR 2100 here that you see me speaking on right now, which is, USB.
But it's
No
not
problem
Lightning.
at
It's
all.
just pure USB.
It's a pure USB, but it did work with that. And what's interesting, or maybe perhaps telling, is that I use this microphone with my iPhone as well with Lightning. And the only Lightning adapter that works with that is the Apple camera adapter that's Lightning to USB-A. It's the only one that
I have
works with
kept my Apple camera adapter because I just know,
Yeah.
even though I don't think I have any more Lightning devices. Well, no, my AirPods are the last Lightning device that I have. Sorry. You know what's funny? After you called, I found my MV88. I have it still, but I guess I won't be using it.
Well, you can get the Lightning dongle.
Yeah, that'll work for you.
You know, and you know, they're only you can find them for $12 and $13. They're not terribly expensive, and it will still work. And I'm gonna hang on to it. There are certain situations when you need a unidirectional, or rather an omnidirectional or an adjustable condenser microphone for recording when you're in a conference room, when you're doing with a group of people. So I will hang on to the microphone and I will hang on to the dongle, but was hoping to find an easier way to use it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
No one in any of our chats, and we have many now.
Yeah, it was funny. Someone followed up on Twitter and shared something with me for you, and it was the ports were the wrong way. They said, "Oh, I've got the solution for Mikah." No, it wasn't.
I think that I really think that there's not enough of a market for a third party to go to Apple and say, "We'd like to license the Lightning."
At this point,
connector.
Yeah.
And that's all there is. I mean, they figure, well, Apple makes one. If somebody really wants it, they'll get it from Apple. I would contact Shure and say, what are you going to do about this? And what'd they say?
They said, and even on their website, they say you have to use this Apple dongle, and they suggest, you know, they showed some kind of tape to use, actually hairpiece tape to tape it on together. And, you know, it's very inelegant, but it works,
it never comes off. I mean, this stuff really is tough.
Yeah.
You know? I use it to keep my hairpiece in place. It's very effective.
Well,
boy,
I'm sorry
ridiculous.
that you are my final hope, Obi-Wan, and I'm sorry you guys couldn't help me with it.
I failed you, and I apologize.
No one's making it.
It's nice to hear from you, Mikah.
It is good to chat.
Yeah, I always.
So, Mikah, I want to ask Mikah one aviation question, and that is, when are we going to get you on a plane traveling somewhere?
I don't know.
What keeps you from doing it?
I don't think he's afraid.
No, I'm not afraid.
It's
at
the
all.
money.
I have. I just went to Memphis not too long ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Plane. Yeah.
Did you go for the ribs?
No, I was there. St. Jude.
Oh, you did that for the Replay FM.
Yeah. So, I travel on planes. I just don't like spending money on planes.
Cheap.
So,
and let me tell you,
I respect that.
We pay him a fine salary. He's not underpaid or anything.
I'm fine.
He's saving up for a house or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what. It's none of our business.
I'm saving up for my own plane.
I like to travel. Not everybody likes to travel, but I love to travel. So usually the planes aren't the highlight, but you know, they're fun.
That's the other thing. Yeah. Planes. Sorry.
Not the planes, it's the airports. If you could just
I was just going to say,
if I could go out the door and get in a plane right now, it wouldn't be so bad.
That's true. Yeah, I am
flying
a very anxious traveler in terms of not being on the plane. I'm not afraid of that part, but I get there so much earlier. I don't like layovers if I can avoid those. So then that automatically makes it cost more money. So it just starts to add up and add up and add up. And it's
in my youth, I used to travel a lot for work and have racked up many a mile for Tech TV and ZD. But I'm glad I don't have to do too much of that anymore.
And actually, I'm the same way. And we talked about this on the Airplane Geeks. Most of us who love to fly feel the same way. We love to fly. We love being in the aircraft. We hate getting there.
Airports are the worst.
The whole airport experience is truly miserable. Yeah. And it doesn't need to be. For example, I mentioned Singapore Airlines. Singapore Airport, as Johnny will say.
Oh.
Amazing.
I was really disappointed. We had planned to go through it on our way back home from Dubai, and we missed the flight.
Oh, yeah.
And, I remember that. We were sitting there eating dinner, enjoying life. Then we went to the airport the next morning. They said, your flight was last night. What are you doing here? And we had to book an entirely new flight that did not go through Singapore. But I was very disappointed. I was looking forward to a layover in Singapore.
You would have enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be beautiful.
Well, look. Thank you very, very much for taking my call. As you know, I'm a long-time caller, first-time listener.
We love you, Mikah. Airplane Geeks podcast. Everybody should listen to it if you love airplanes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mikah.
Have a great day.
Take care. Dewey Finster in our Twitch chat asked an interesting question. And when are you going to do a technology tour of the new Attic studio?
Yeah, Leo.
And as soon as it's done, I will. But I'll tell you what we're using right now. Some of the equipment that we're going to be using right now. we started with, and I can't wait to show people this because I was really impressed. Corsair, which bought the Elgato brand, remember, makes I guess it's for Twitch streamers probably, a table called the Creator Platform 6. That's a big table, but what we liked about it is it has affordances for rigging. It has some bars across the top and the bottom and all this stuff, and it comes with all sorts of attachments. I put the pegboards on the side and I can attach all sorts of stuff. So it's designed to hang lights and cameras from. We have 2 Elgato key lights as the primary lighting. We have some other basically clone versions of the Elgato key light from a company called Dasny. I bought those when Elgato was, they were out of stock for a long time. So I have a couple of those for fills. We have a lot of the leftover studio lighting for color, splashes, and stuff like that. We used a lot of colorful LED lighting. We still do. That's that green behind me from discos. And so some of those have lived on in the new studio. So that's the lighting, I believe. The cameras we've decided on thanks to input from Alex Lindsay, who uses these in his office. The Sony FX30 cinema cameras. These are APS-C sensors. I have a lot of Sony lenses, so it's kind of a natural fit. We'll have 3 of those, one for the single, one for a 2-shot, and then if somebody like Mikah comes to visit me in the attic, we'll have a dedicated camera for them. So that's the 3. We're also going to use a Sony, I think it's an M100 for the, look at this shot. You always have we call it an over-the-shoulder shot. In this case, it won't be. It'll be kind of in front of me on an arm shot. The microphones will be still the Heil PR40s. We're big fans of the Heils. I should stay with the cameras before I go to audio. Those cameras will all be hooked into an ATEM Mini Extreme. That's their 8-port Blackmagic hardware switcher. That's kind of cool because it'll allow me. We're going to use Zoom ISO as we use now. Continue to use Zoom ISO for everybody. It usually just be me by myself in a Zoom ISO call with Mikah and everybody else. We're going to do that and then switch it. We'll have producers / technical directors in their homes doing the switching using Ecamm software running on a Mac in the cloud at Mac Stadium.
Wow.
They have 2 gigabits up and down at Mac Stadium, so we'll have lots of bandwidth to them. So the Zoom call will then be piped to Mac Stadium and back down to the TD who will switch it in the cloud, which is going to be interesting. That's for the big shows. We'll be using that. So that's Zoom plus Ecamm. For the club shows, we'll be using Restream. We're using that right now for the streaming chat rooms, but and the live streams. We'll use that for any ad hoc streams if I decide to spin it up. The main camera, my single, has an Elgato prompter on it. I'm not a fan of teleprompters at all, but I wanted a way to be able to look at the camera and see the Zoom call. So I won't have a script in there, but I will have the Zoom call that I'm in on there so I can see everybody in the Zoom call. I'll also have 2 monitors left and right, one with the output, the program, the switched program of the Zoom call so I can see what you're seeing at home. The other with the chat room with all the different chats going on so I could see those as well. When we have Restream, by the way, one of the nice things about Restream is I can pull a chat comment from all of those sources and put it actually on the screen. So those will be nicely interactive. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Audio chain will stay with these Heil PR40 microphones. They're going to be going into a Rode Podcaster Duo, which is a 2-microphone mixer. We decided on that because I like fader pots. We do have some sound devices stuff that's probably has better preamps, but these Rodes are pretty good. They have Revolution preamps. I think they'll be fine. We'll see. If not, we'll switch. But and they have lots of lights. They're colorful, so that's a lot of fun. So that's kind of an overall. I will have 2 Mac Minis, one running Zoom. We want to have that be dedicated, just running Zoom. Running the Restream and the chat, and then I have a Snapdragon Windows machine. As well, if I need an extra machine. I'm not sure exactly what I'll be using that for. I'll be using my Mac laptop as my main computer because it's smaller than the Lenovo that I currently use for Twit. And that will be, so I can see the rundown, it'll be right below the main camera, but I can also show screenshots from that. And using the ATEM, I can switch over to any screen, the chat screen, it'll be the Zoom screen, and any computer that I want to switch to. So that's kind of how it all is. It's a very compact setting at a table. I think it's going to work well. We'll see. I'm a Twitch streamer now.
Yeah. He just doesn't have all the LED lights behind him.
I might, though. We're not sure.
I can't wait for the confetti to get installed.
I don't want to be a Twitch streamer, but I think that's kind of where we're headed. Now, we also have another announcement. I'm going to let Mikah do the duty on this one, because I'm not happy about it, but it's something we have to do.
Yeah, we are making a bit of a change. Ask the Tech Guys is going to pivot.
I'll be honest with you. We can't get anybody to buy it because they think, oh, that's got to be old people watching that. And it was the same reason I left the radio show. They couldn't get anybody to buy it because they decided that's an old audience. We don't want them. And since advertisers won't buy it, the audience isn't huge. You can see we struggle to get calls. I think it's not working.
Yeah, and it's current format. And so we'd like to keep the show going in a way. And that way is with yours truly, answering a specific question or a specific kind of theme of questions, because we do get repeat questions or questions that kind of surround a specific topic. So what you will see going forward, and this is in a couple of weeks, is a change in the format of the show. Someone sends an email. We're keeping the phone number for now. Someone calls and leaves a voicemail. Someone sends in video asking a question. I will take the time to answer that question in full and complete, and it will give us the opportunity, my opportunity, to do some research beforehand. So we'll have kind of a full answer without a lot of the song and dance that we have come to enjoy on this show, but maybe that our advertisers did not enjoy on this show. So it will still be around, and I will still be here to do.
You're not going to do it live like we do it.
That is
It's not going to be on Sunday afternoon. It'll be more like will you do the recording in live?
So starting out, we're going to do the recording live.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll see how that continues on as we go throughout the rest of this year. You can still count on us being live on Sundays. Me doing
at the same
show.
time.
At the same time.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I won't be there.
No,
but Mikah will.
I will be in my studio doing it live.
I'm also going to say this. I'm going to probably answer questions too.
Yes, and that's the great thing.
And part of this new format is to have ad hoc content.
Yes, and what this means, I mean, it's still, as it stands, Ask the Tech Guys, because if there's a question about home theater, I will ask Scott Wilkinson if he will come on and answer that question for us. And when it's a question about Linux, who else but Mr. Linux over here to help us out with that? So there will be opportunities for everyone to continue to be on it.
I suspect, so Mike and I are going to continue to be the main staff hosts for the new Twit. I suspect one of the big things about the new Twit will be just kind of ad hoc, turn on the camera streams. Unknown yet what's going to happen to those. Will we package those up? I think we will, but I don't know. The main point is that we can just do that at any time ad hoc. So if I see an interesting question, or I want to show off some new technology, we're going to rename Ask the Tech Guys to Hands-On Tech.
Eventually.
Not yet?
I don't know if that's happening yet.
Okay. Lisa wanted to do that, but I don't know if that's the case. Mainly because we don't want to pigeonhole it.
Right. It's going to be also the opportunity to do reviews of products and talk about that kind of thing. So you're going to be able to expect more from the show, but in a much, much smaller package.
It's not going to be
a 2-hour show.
So there'll still be a show. There'll still be something on the feed. You want to maintain that subscription at techguylabs.com. And you'll be getting Mikah. Now, next week, Mikah is not going to be here. I'm going to be doing it alone.
He's going to be doing the show. But
and
the
then after
final
that,
episode,
after that'll be Mikah. And then, but again, I think we're going to end up putting out more content, not less, but it will just be in a different, I think it really, I'm really thinking of this as the new Twit, as something a little bit different, involving more of you, involving more back and forth. I could see us doing an hour just with Chris Marquardt, that's what the freedom to do that. Once we're kind of out from under this advertising model, I think that'll be a better way to do it. But that's unfortunately part of the changes we're having to make. We're closing the studio in 2 weeks. Jammer V is retiring. I'm going to be very sorry to lose John, who's been with us since practically the beginning. I'll be up in my attic. Mikah will be in his whatever. And
the opposite. I'll be in a basement.
He's going to be in his basement?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. The highs and the lows.
Yeah.
And but we're happy to say the rest of the team, at least for now, is going to stay intact. We're hoping we can continue to do that. This is all part of the new mode of shows. It's different now. Podcasting is changing, and we've always been on the cutting edge of what's going on, so we want to continue to do that. So, and there is room for a wacky gadget guy. Absolutely.
You saw, I'm always buying things that Dickie D has suggested for my niece. She should, I don't know, be best friends with Dickie D because he's the reason she gets so many great things.
So my day on Sunday will just be Twit. You'll be doing Ask the Tech Guy. I'll just be doing Twit. Tuesdays we will continue with Mac Break Weekly. Security Now. Wednesdays will still be Windows Weekly and Twig. Are you going to continue with Tech News Weekly?
Tech News Weekly still continuing on.
How about iOS Today? That continues?
iOS Today still continuing on.
All the shows that we do in the club, like Home Theater Geeks, will continue as well. So I'm Hands on Mac. You're going to still do Hands on Mac?
Still doing Hands on Mac.
Hands on Windows with Paul Thurrott. So we're not closing down.
No.
We're evolving. And we are shutting the studio down because the studio is a great expense. The rent is $8,000 or $9,000 a month. The PG&E bill is more than $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
So even if we can't get out of the rent, we think we might be able to. We have at least through the fall of 2026. But even if we can't get out of the lease, we can at least get out of the PG&E bill. And that's $5,000 a month. That's a significant amount of money. That's not just that. There's insurance. There's a lot of things that we have to pay for having a studio. So all of that's going to go away. Apple announcements we'll continue to do. We're going to do the Pixel announcement in 2 weeks. It'll actually be easier for us to do those because we'll just be in our homes doing them. I don't think it's going to change as in a bad way. I think it's going to change in a good and interesting way. At least that's my hope.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I feel very, if you are thinking about this, we're feeling very positive about it. I'm really actually excited about getting to spend more time on individual questions and excited.
And getting a good answer instead of just a
what we can give, in the moment kind of a thing. So
it's $8,000 or $9,000, not $89,000 a month. I think it's $8,000 or $9,000 a month for the rent, the lease. But that's just part of the total monthly cost of the studio. Yeah, this is going to be a positive change, and I might be in my jammies, but you won't know because I'll put a nice shirt on.
Good. You'll always know that, and we'll always still be wearing wacky socks. You just won't see them all the time.
That's right.
Unless we get enough sock checks in the chat.
Yeah, we can do it. My there you go. My desk goes up and down, so I can lower it and stuff. I don't think I can get it that low. Thank you, everybody, for watching Ask the Tech Guys.
Tune in next week for Leo's
My
final
last show
episode.
ever will be from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific, 1800 UTC. We'll stream it live, as we always do, on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of the X.com, all the usual places, of course. For our wonderful club members, by the way, if the club weren't here,
we wouldn't be.
We would be turning out the lights in 2 weeks and going home. So thank you. In all seriousness, thank you to the club members who make it possible for us to continue doing what we do. If you're not yet a club member, please join twit.tv/clubtwit. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time on Ask the Tech Guys.
Bye-bye.
You won't be here.
He'll see you next time on Ask the Tech Guys.